Good morning, welcome to Tiny Garden Tidy. Today we're all about stenciling and painting. Yeah, not too much actual gardening. Hope you enjoy.
So this is the stenciling that I did in the rear porch. You can see in the heavy traffic areas it's starting to fade. Has been there a few years, and I don't mind the faded look. I prefer that than the pristine look. But I painted the floor grey and then a sort of white stencil over the top. And if you can see this white stencil compared to this one, this is my preference. It's more muted. So this was a first time of doing that, and I preferred this column, which was more pale, and that column was a bit darker. So a key thing is to be taking as much paint off my brush as possible, try and see if I can get this sort of effect. My plan is I've decided to start on this corner because it's tricky because of the drain there. Okay, flower. Always throwing balls. And then I'm going to do we have to be a bit careful when we're stenciling. I'm going to do just 3 along here as the tests to see how we go. But you can see that the stencil, I think, is saying it's a bit old, it's curling up. So I'm going to have a little bit of trouble with those particular ones. We'll see how we go. Oh dear, flower. So this colour comes out as a sort of beigey colour, sort of stony beigey colour. Looking at this one in there, I'd say that's way too yellow. And this one I think is probably too grey. This has got lots of old hairs on it. It is not going to be perfect. It's going to be very rustic. And because it's been raining, I can't stick the stencil, so I'm going to have to be very, very careful. But let's go and be daring. I'm not doing anything. I know that when I have done stenciling in the house before, because yes, I was one of those people that did all that stenciling. The kitchen was full of ivy along the coving. That's funny. Oh dear. And it all was great fun doing, but probably a little bit over the top. Oh, that's a bit too much paint on there. You could do all sorts of very fancy sort of shadings where you start dark on the end and go paler as you get inside to give some dimension to it. It's great fun. I used to be such a fan of changing rooms and Carol Smiley and Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. I used to absolutely love that. I did rag rolling in my bathroom. I mean, at the time it was such good fun and we thought, wow, what an effect. But it looks so messy when you look back. You think, oh, whatever possessed me to do the bathroom like that in that vibrant colour. Nice morning activity. It'd be nice if the sun was shining, but you know, it's not raining, so it's okay. I'll try and give the stencil a wash, but I actually think it's going to be too old. I'm trying not to buy anything new. I'm trying to stick with the thrifty idea that I decided to give up work early, and as a result I need to be mindful of my spending, and that doesn't mean not having a fun, happy, thriving, vibrant life, but it does mean sometimes not having all of the items that you think you want. Or I think if you need something you have to have it, but if you trying to work out what's need and what's want. Right. Give this paint a good stir, and then we're going to obviously tackle the circle first. I'm going to paint the circle first because obviously that hasn't got any colour on it, and then the rest of it. But I might paint the circle, let it dry, paint it again, just so that we can try and get some even colour. Okay, here goes. Uh-oh, it's not the same colour. It's very runny as well. I knew I had some black masonry paint in the shed, because I paint around the base of the house with that, which is a bit of a Victorian style. But I knew that was black and that this is sort of charcoal grey, and I thought, right, I need to go and get some grey. But I realise now we've got slate grey decking paint, which if you look at the picture looks very similar to the colour of the shed. The stain, not the paint. So, and now I'm using this. So far it does look like it's going to be okay. It's going on quite nicely. It's definitely not the right colour, but my main aim really was to cover up that gap that was here, which I think is going to do with a couple of coats. And then all I'm going to do is just put an extra, just make sure the whole thing is black, even though it's not going to be perfect because the original wasn't perfect. It was quite a rustic sort of, well, the whole thing is quite rustic. So I think that we hopefully going to get away with it. So when it's done, I'll put everything back as it was, and we will spend a bit of time walking up and down the garden, looking at it and deciding whether or not we think it looks awful. And if we think it does, if you say to me, no, that doesn't look right, we can have a think about what we do. So we are having fun, hopefully on a budget, even though we've just spent. What might happen is the deck we've got at the top, which is done in brown, which I never really liked. I always wanted to do that in a grey. So that paint that we've got, that deck stain, that might get used. Most things get used, don't they? So it'll be fine. Just an initial sort of like, oh gosh, it's all runny. And now I'm going to paint it a colour that's not the same colour as the shed, because I really enjoyed the fact that it was the same colour as the shed and it made it into a little enclave, which I've said, haven't I? I like my little middle area, my halfway house, to be a little quirky, my little quirky area of objet d'art, the equivalent of a basement man cave. It won't actually need long, and it will need replacing. It's got, I'd say, probably a few years lifespan on it, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I just didn't enjoy that big circle. I just felt every time I came into the garden I saw it and I thought, I need to do something about that. It was bothering me. Okay, a second coat for this circle, and first thoughts are I like it and it'll be okay. Now I'm thinking about that Japanese wood burning, what do they do? It's called shuka. We could paint the whole shed and make it look a bit like that Japanese style. Got all hot now. First thoughts. What do you think? First thoughts are I can't see any difference. I can't see the circle. When I look at the join of the shed and the partition, I can see the difference in colour, but I think actually it's fine. What do you think? Maybe we wait till it's dried and see if it needs the whole thing needs a second coat and the circle needs a third. This arch. It's doing really well this side. Can't seem to get it to properly. Ah, no, look, there is a bit coming over. Fabulous. I will tie that down because I'm keen for it to come down this side as well, because I think it's such a lovely arch. I'll be boring you by saying that my mum gave me that plant. I actually think she gave me most plants that are in the garden. She's a very keen gardener, and it's interesting how things rub off on you. because my brother and sister, my dad was very good at, well, and I have said that I feel sometimes this garden's a bit over engineered with all the patios and the concrete and stuff like that, and I wanted to get it a bit more wilder. But interestingly, so my dad did all of that and spent, you know, hours doing crazy pavings and making concrete arches and things like that, and concrete benches and all sorts. And my mum did all the gardening, and obviously we were raised in that, and you can see this in us. You can see my sister's got a fabulous garden, my brother has a fabulous garden. Mine's not quite so fabulous because I'm a little bit more messy, but we all love the gardening because we were raised with that, and I think that's quite interesting point there. But yeah, so that plant was a tiny little plant, and she gave it to me at this, well, that one first, and then this one, which is also quite fabulous here. So he has been moved a few times, so he's struggling a bit more. But when I first got him, he was like a twig. They're quite fast growing, and I haven't got a clue what the name of them are. So I need to look that one up. That needs a little making a bit more stable, doesn't it? Let's put you there. This needs holding back a little bit because it's coming into the garden. Away my paints. This one is the black one for the deck when we redo the deck. The deck has got areas in it which are broken and need repairing, and I just going to see that. I'm a great lover of that brown. I think the shed is grey, so the deck should sort of be grey as well. Not so sure that the stencil is going to be a success. About to do the big reveal. It's difficult because I think you need to be able to affix the stencil to the surface so that everything is defined, so you can actually see the shape rather than it being a little higgledy-piggledy. I mean, having said that, obviously I like the rustic look. Flower's just off camera beating up her poor little unicorn. Oh, poor unicorn. Oh, don't put unicorn in the paint. Here he is. Oh, he's a dinosaur. She's run off with him now. Yeah, so the stencil is, even though I've put paint on, is still curling up. I think I'll probably have to put lots of paint on. I think the stencil is finished. I'm not so sure it's going to work, but I am so desperate to get something done in this patio area today. I think that's way too white. Oh, even before I've pulled it off. It's not my favourite. I'm going to do the next one in a more grey, and I'm going to try and not use as much paint, which I didn't think I was using a lot of paint. So right, I stopped there because it's not stuck to the floor properly. I nudged it and it moved out of the way, so I thought, right, time to stop. Not completely happy. Well, I think I'm far from happy with the results. It is just a test, so I'm not even going to use this yellow. I'm not. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's see if we can look at them from afar. I don't think it's working out. Maybe more of a stony colour. Do you have to stand on the mat, Flower? Are you like a cat? Not so sure that's going to work. So the stenciling wasn't a resounding success, but I'm going to do some more tests on that and have a think about it. Might even, oh, it's Flower. Oh, go get it. Might even think about buying a new stencil, or maybe laying that one flat for a bit. I mean, it has been probably 3 or 4 years that it's been rolled up in that stencil box. Let's see how we go on that. The time has arrived for me and Flower to go off for our daily walk. A little bit later than usual, but I wanted to get the painting and stenciling in. When I come back from the walk, I might have thought of an idea to do it differently. Okay, take care. Thank you for joining us. We're out walking now. Oh, give us some time to think about that stenciling. I actually think it's a no-go. I think we're going to have to take up all of the loose concrete that I've put down thinly and rethink things at a warmer or drier time of the year. So I'm going to rethink that.